Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and with 2015 officially coming to an end, it is time for us to look forward to the future, as I will be sharing with you the top 10 movies that I am most anticipated to see next year, and will in fact be reviewing when they come out. So starting off real simple with number 10 on my list is a movie we don't really know all that much about, and I'm not even sure if this title is correct, but it's pretty much Bourne 5. From what I was able to look up online, it might be called The Bourne Betrayal, which there actually does happen to be a novel for that, so I will be picking that up to read just to be safe. The reason it's number 10 on this list is because I just don't know enough about it. All we've gotten is like one quick set picture. We know that Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass are coming back, and they've made 3 incredible Bourne films, so it's safe to say they're going to give us a 4th one. So that's really all I need to get excited for this film. I wish I had been given a little bit more. Maybe if I had been seen maybe more set pictures or a trailer to get a better idea of what we're going into, I would put it higher on the list. But just one image and the fact that these 2 guys are coming back to make another Bourne movie, that's enough to put it on my list, and that's why it's number 10. Going on with number 9 is a movie I'm a little bit skeptical about because of these type of movies' reputation, but that is Assassin's Creed. Now, I'll admit, I'm somewhat of a fan of Assassin's Creed. I have not played the last 2 games, being Syndicate or Rogue or Unity. The last one I played was Black Flag, which still remains my favorite Assassin's Creed game of all time. But, you know, video game-based movies have had a really bad rap. Now, I'm willing to say that there have been some that I think were good movies, but this one, I'm just a little bit skeptical about. I mean, the fact that Michael Fassbender has been attached to play the lead role, and I do believe he's a producer in it, the guy has had a good taste for picking projects that he believes in. So, really, the only reason this movie is on this list is because he's attached to it, so he must either see something in it or thinks it's worth an attempt. I personally hope that they take out a lot of the stuff I don't like about the Assassin's Creed franchise. Sadly, from what I've seen from it, from promotional materials, it looks like they won't, but I hope they keep it to a minimum. But as long as they just keep it a simple movie and don't try to overcomplicate it, then I think that this is a movie I can have fun with and overly recommend when it comes out, and that's why it's number 9 on this list. Going on into number 8 is Captain America Civil War. Now, I'm gonna admit, superhero movies coming from Disney's Marvel are getting a little bit stale to me. And going into Civil War, I think it will be fun. I mean, the fact that it has so many characters, I mean, it doesn't even feel like a Captain America movie. It feels like it's an Avengers movie, so I'm surprised they didn't just call this Avengers Civil War. But it will give us a different tone that we're used to. I mean, we're entering a new era where we're going to have heroes and beating up each other, so, you know, I just hope it's entertaining. I mean, I thought Avengers Age of Ultron was a bit underwhelming. It really wasn't something I ever want to watch again, but when I did see Captain America Winter Soldier, I openly admitted when I first came out and reviewed that movie, saying that it was the best comic book related movie I had seen since The Dark Knight, and I stand by that statement. So all I'm hoping from this film is that it somehow is able to keep a coherent and interesting story despite the fact that we have so many characters to work with. That's my biggest concern, is that the more characters you put into this movie, the more confusing it's going to get, and I just hope that doesn't happen. I have my hopes for it, but I can't really have too high hopes, but I'm still looking forward to seeing it when it comes out, and that's why it's number 8 on this list. Going into number 7 is Independence Day Resurgence. Now, look, I love Independence Day. I think it's probably one of the best movies I saw when I was a kid. So the fact that we are going to have a movie come out 20 years later, like almost 20 years to that exact week that the first one came out, and it's going to be about 20 years since the situation of the first movie happened, I think it's just perfectly timed. I'm not too upset that Will Smith didn't want to be a part of it, though. I think how they technically have written him out is a little bit cheap. I'm just really curious to see if they can top the original. I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to capture the same feeling, because the first Independence Day wasn't anything like we had ever seen before. But as long as it's fun, entertaining, engaging, and it makes me care about these characters that we will be seeing again, I think it's a safe bet that this is going to be a movie that, although none of us ever thought we wanted a sequel, it's something that hopefully when we are done watching it, we can appreciate a sequel, because I do believe they're going to make another one after this one. So all I want this movie to do is, you know, you didn't want a sequel, but we're going to give you a sequel anyway, and hopefully you will enjoy it. And that's why I'm hoping my I hope for this to a somewhat high level, but I'm not too high for it. That's why it's number 7 on this list. Going into number 6 is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Now, look, I love the Harry Potter series. I saw all 7 films, or 8 films, I should say. I read all 7 books. So this one's a little bit confusing because, as far as I know, this is going to be based off of a textbook that the students at Hogwarts usually have to read, and I think the fact that it's not going to be a typical wizarding story that we're used to in the kind of the Harry Potter world, which I guess you can't really call the Harry Potter world because then this is going to be taking place in the wizarding world. And I think that it's just the fact that it's going to have a much different tone. I don't think we're going to get anything like a dark wizard or a major bad situation. From what I got from the trailer, it's simply a factor of this guy is like a zoologist for the wizarding world. Some of his animals got out, and he's in America when this happens, and he needs help getting them back. So it kind of has like a Pokemon vibe. It's like we got to catch them all before they tear up the city. Which, I will say this, if this movie does work, then they can tell just about any story in the wizarding world and make it work. I'm not sure if they can, because this is not something that we are going to expect, but I just have hopes that this is proof that you can take anything from this world, and as long as it is written well, acted well, and filmed well, then the possibilities of movies taking place in this universe are endless. So that's why I have semi-high hopes for it, and that's why it's number 6 on this list. Going into number 5 is Star Wars Rogue One. Now, after being severely disappointed and actually a little bit angry with how Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens ends up, I'm happy that, from what I know, Rogue One is going to be unlike anything we've seen, because it's not going to be tied directly to the main storyline of movies, and it's not going to involve probably many of the characters that we're used to seeing. And I think it's the fact that it is technically a prequel story, but it's going to film new. And despite the fact that we kind of know what the story is going to be about, I'm excited for it because it's going to be unlike any other Star Wars movie we've seen before. We're not going to hopefully focus too much on the Force. We're going to focus on just this normal group of people kind of building up the rebellion, having to deal with the Empire during probably its highest point in its power. And there's even a possibility that we can see Darth Vader come back. And I would love to kind of see this movie capture what Vader meant to this franchise. I mean, if you've actually read the book Star Wars Lords of the Sith, that book goes into amazing detail of just how it was, what Vader meant to normal people who didn't have the Force. And I really hope that this film can capture that, because I don't think the original films captured that too well. So it's just the fact that this movie overall is going to do what I expected The Force Awakens to do, but hopefully do it at a period of time that I actually care about, and that's why it is number 5 on this list. Going on to number 4, I picked Ratchet & Clank. Now, I thought this movie was going to come out this year, but it got pushed back, so I got to lower it down a little bit. But from what I saw of the trailer, this is just going to be a fun movie. I really hope it does really well at the box office, and this might be an example of how you should do movies based off of video games, especially with this type of art style. I mean, it's definitely going to be good for kids. I think I'm going to enjoy it so much, since Ratchet & Clank was really the first game I ever put on the PlayStation 2. And I'm still a big fan of the franchise to this day, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the game, which is technically based off the movie, which the movie is based off the game, so it's a little bit confusing. But it just looks like an overall fun time. And I want this to be a success as an example to other studios that this is how you should handle movie-based or video game-based movies. This is how it should be done, because I know they're doing a Sly Cooper movie sometime after this, and I hope that will be successful too, and that's why it's number 4 on this list. Going on to number 3, I picked XMen Apocalypse. Now, X-Men Days of Futures Past is without question my favorite X-Men movie of all time, and the X-Men team itself is my favorite team of all time. It's a lot better than the Avengers, and it's a lot better than the Justice League. So the fact that we're going to get a story involving probably one of the greatest threats the X-Men has ever encountered, Apocalypse, and the fact that they actually fixed a number of things I was worried about has me really pumped up for this movie. I'm really curious to see exactly how they handle the characters and handle Apocalypse himself, because he definitely seems menacing. But I really want to see how he's going to perform in action. I don't want him to be like a puppet master where he's telling his 4 horsemen what to do. I want to see this guy in action, kicking ass, doing cool shit. I think he's going to do that, and I want to see the X-Men have to come together as a team in order to engage this threat. The only thing I'm a little bit odd about is the fact that we saw the final shot of X-Men Days of Futures Past, which obviously takes place after this movie, and you see a number of these key characters in this trailer, and they're alive in the future. So I'm wondering if that's a different timeline. I mean, does it ruin the suspense? Because we know these characters have to survive because we saw them at the end of Days of Futures Past. That's my only concern, but as long as it's entertaining and they do Apocalypse justice, I'm going to have a great time with this movie. And that's why it's number 3 on this list. Going on into number 2 is probably going to be the craziest comic book movie that many of us will see in a very, very long time, and a movie that we have all wanted to see, and I'm so excited that we're only 2 months away, and that is this guy. No, not Deadpool 8, but Deadpool. I just want this movie to be crazy. Just bad shit crazy. Story doesn't need to make sense. Just give me humor, have it be all over the damn place, and give us the Deadpool that the fans know and love, and I guarantee you I will see this multiple times in theaters. I might even drag some people to see it with me, so that people who aren't fans of Deadpool, so that they will be fans of Deadpool. Deadpool is the kind of character for everyone. I would absolutely expose my child to something like this if I had kids, but this is like one of my most anticipated movies like for a long time, simply because Deadpool is unlike any character in either DC or Marvel, and the fact that we are finally going to get him on the big screen, which is something many of us have wanted for many years, since they kind of ruined his character and kind of screwed him in Wolverine Origins, which we won't talk about that version. But it's just the fact that the studios is listening to us, they are giving us what we want, and hopefully we all show the studios that when you give the fans what we want, you will succeed financially. And that's why I am pumped up for this, but it only can last as number 2 on my list. Going into number 1 is a movie that I personally don't know too much about. I don't want to read too much about it because I don't want to ruin my experience about this movie. I've seen only one trailer for this movie, and after how terribly they handled the Batman vs. Superman trailer, I don't want to see any more trailers for this movie, and that is Suicide Squad movie. This is going to be very, very interesting because it's going to tell the story of villains, which we've never had a movie like this, and I don't think we can have a movie like this in either Marvel or DC after this, but it's simply introducing us to a new world and a new setting with a different perspective, us having to focus on villains. And it's just the fact that this is the equivalent, the inverse of what we got in Avengers, but this is a first time going. We're going to have to establish these characters for people who don't know who they are. I don't know what the situation is, and I don't want to know what the situation is. I've seen only one trailer. I don't want to spoil myself too much, and I'm really curious to see what Jared Leto does with the Joker, because he has some serious shoes to fill up. But just from what I've seen from him, it looks like he could do the Joker justice, and it's something I hope it succeeds. This is a one-timer movie. This is something I want the DC and Warner Brothers to try only once, and I hope it succeeds, because if they can't get this right, then it's really going to hurt my perspective of how I think the rest of these Warner Brothers DC movies are going to go. So that is why it is number 1 on my list. And with that, those are the top 10 most anticipated movies that I have for 2016. I would really like to know what are your top 10 most anticipated movies that you're looking forward to seeing next year. Share your list with me in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check me out my future videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.